Hello! Today we are going to be drawing Jester's Room. Well, technically I drew this hold on, when did I start this? I started this May 25th, and according to my Instagram, I finished it June 2nd. And I really like this one. I really like the way that I composed it, and I think, you know, per Jester, I hid at least 20 diff drawings in this drawing. You can see me sort of like highlighting them in pink at one point, just to sort of, almost like Hidden Mickey, just to make sure that like I have a bunch, because I thought that that was one of the most important parts of this drawing. One thing that I didn't do that I did with the others is have sort of like the dark ambiance with the fire on, and then sort of like that warm fire glow. I didn't do that much ambient lighting in this one, specifically because she was painting, and I feel like she would have wanted a lot more like bright light if she was painting, but that just might be like me personally when I'm painting. But yeah, and I think that's one of the parts of this that I don't like, because I really like that sort of fun, warm lighting a lot. Since this piece didn't have that, it sort of felt incomplete, even though like I knew it wasn't. So yeah. And I basically just sort of looked up a bunch of like art stuff, like that tray, and then I looked up sort of like what paint cans look like and things like that to sort of have a reference for things. And you know, here the same thing with her. I did the reference on Just Sketch Me. Having all of these little details similar to Yasha's drawing made it take 17 hours and 41 minutes to make this drawing. And if you'll also look at her dress and sort of at like the bottom with the embroidery is just a bunch of tiny little dicks, which I am quite pleased about. And you can see that there's just like a bunch of little hidden ones all over the place. I just hid that sort of general shape everywhere. I like the way that Jester turned out. I think I drew her the right amount of cute, but also absolutely jacked. Because I feel like sometimes people forget that Jester was absolutely jacked. I did have a little bit of trouble with her face, specifically like the horns, because she was sort of turning at an angle, and I was like, where would the horns go? And so then, and like the general angle of the face, and so then that was something that I was struggling with right here, because I wanted to be able to see her face, but I wasn't sure like how it would be turning to like be looking at where she was painting at the same time, because I felt like it would be weird if she was painting but then like sort of looking past her arm. I'm not sure how to describe that. But yeah. Another thing though is that I think I made Jester too big for the space. I feel like I could have made her a bit smaller, at least a lot shorter. I feel like she was too tall, because I think she's shorter in like canonically. I think she's canonically relatively short. And so then that's something that I feel like I did incorrectly. But I mean, other than that, you know, getting sort of like the size of things in a space can be really difficult, and definitely during the Might Nien rooms that was something that I was learning how to do, and so then, you know, this was just a part of that process. I also do feel like the canvas and easel, the proportions of that are off, but specifically because I wanted to be able to see the pencil and erasers that were on the sort of easel stand, because I did position them in the shape of a dick once again. And you can see that the blueberry scones that are in the front corner right there are also in the shape of a dick, as well as several parts of the stained glass, which the, once again, like for the other ones, I sort of combined like this front sitting area, and they also had sort of like a hobby room. She sort of had a front sitting area that had like, you know, like a bunch of like food and like blueberry scones and things like that. And then she had a separate area that was just like blank walls for painting. And so then I combined those two areas just so I would have more to work with. I would have like the scones and then also the fireplace and the stained glass. Yeah. And, you know, I hid a dick in the stones, and also just in all of the paintings that she was doing, obviously. You know, the chalk on the floor, obviously on the ball eater, that she was painting on the canvas, literally everywhere. Which I think that both Jester and Laura Bailey would appreciate. Yeah, and I feel like at this point, one thing that we can sort of talk about as a whole is making a series and sort of having, or like a long-term project and that sort of burnout that comes with it. One thing that I would like to remind myself and anybody that's listening to this is that you can work on multiple things at once. Like, while I was doing this, I kept on telling myself, like, I can't work on anything else until I get this drawing done, which is not true, which is something that I'm a lot better at than I was before. It's a lot easier for me to put stuff on the side currently and being like, hey, I need to draw something today, but I don't want to draw this thing that I was working on. I can do something else. I can do a sketch of a character that I like, just like a small profile, which is something for the last couple of days I've been doing with Laudna from Campaign 3. Gosh, I love her. I love Campaign 3. All of them are incredible. Ashton, they're incredible. Fresh Cut Grass, wonderful. Laudna and Imogen. I literally just finished styling a purple wig that I just bought. But we don't have to talk about that. Projects. Yeah, you can put a pause on a project as a whole. You can, you know, not finishing something is okay. But if you need to pause and do something else and then come back to it, that's perfectly fine. This Mighty Nine Rooms took me from February all the way to August to complete, I think. Time is fuzzy, but yeah, it took me like half of the year. Is that math? It felt like half of the year that it took me to finish this, and that's okay. That's fine that it took that long. And I'm proud that I finished it, but, you know, it could have taken me longer, and that also would have been okay. I could have put this to the side and done another project and finished that. I'm usually the type of person that will work on something for 8 hours without stopping until I finish it, and then I am finished with it, and then I'm like, oh, I haven't moved or eaten in hours. So that's something that I need to work better on. But yeah, it's okay if you need to take a break sometimes. I know that drawing every day is something that's really encouraged, and you know, it's great if you have the time and motivation to draw every single day. But you know, sometimes it doesn't work out and life happens, and that's perfectly fine. And yeah, I'm just doing the line art right here. You could see before, a neat trick that you can do on Procreate is make a new layer and then draw something flat and then use the transform and then distort to distort it on that perspective line, which is something that's really handy for things like the mural that Jester is painting, and that's something that I did. And one thing that I was sort of struggling with this one is, like, the painting aspect. Sometimes in like things like anime, it's kind of weird to like see a painting or a drawing of someone in a cartoon, so sort of like a pencil drawing or a more realistic drawing in a cartoon. And so I was trying to figure out how painterly I wanted the paintings to look. And then I just sort of decided to go for it because there was already so much going on. They didn't have to be super detailed. But obviously, as you can see, I did go a bit overboard and make them a bit detailed. But I think they turned out fine, especially for things like the sunflower that she was currently working on. I realized, hey, she's still working on it, so it doesn't have to look finished. Actually, it shouldn't look finished. And so that was something that I was like trying to balance back and forth on, is making it look like a good painting, but then also like it makes sense within like the style that I'm currently drawing her in, but then also not completely finished. Which I'm not sure if I was successful at, but I think it turned out like it looks okay. Yeah. And because of that, and all of like the little painterly things that were going on, like the chalk on the floor, like I had to figure out like that has to look like chalk. And so then, you know, obviously I use like the chalk tool, and then for like all of sort of like the, I'll get to it once I get to like, all of the flat colors, is like all of these sort of like paint smudges on a bunch of the things on like the floor and like the paint cans and all of that stuff, and sort of making that look like cartoonish, so it looks like it's like cohesive and fits in the space, but then also sort of realistic, in the sense like it looks like it's supposed to be there and the space looks lived in, which I thought was very important for Jester, because, you know, she can make herself at home wherever, which is, you know, one of the lovely things about her. And yeah, you can see all of the little hidden dicks that I put in the sort of like filigree that Jester painted around the stained glass, and just like all of the little flowers. And yeah, and just a lot of the things, like on some of the paint that's on the little cork board on the side over there. A couple of them just have like little dicks drawn on them, which I felt like was very in character, that Jester would just have a paintbrush in her hand and then just paint whatever with the little dicks. And then, you know, since this is Jester, I made a lot of things pink, and then I made sort of like the wash of the place, sort of just like a light bluish color. And then I sort of went back and forth between like the blue and the pink, and then I decided on purple, apparently. Sometimes I can't even remember what I was doing and what my thought process was. Yeah, and then different from Beau's drawing, for this one, I think I was trying to like not do all of the crazy little line art for the wood, because I already had so much stuff going on. Am I doing the line art again? Yeah, I'm doing the line art again. And then I think this is the last round of the line art. Gosh, I kind of went crazy with this one. And then for the sort of drawing string that she has there, I have a drawing of the island. What's it called? The island that Traveler Con was at. And then I have a drawing of Yasha, and then a couple of drawings of like some eyes. Ooh, spooky. And just like little things from the show, like that I think she probably would have drawn. some of the fan art from campaign 2 that I really like is someone, I cannot remember their name for the life of me, but they did sort of like segments from Jester's sketchbook. So then like after a sort of pivotal episode, they would make, you know, like a few pages of like Jester's thoughts on it, and then also like drawings of things that she would have done, especially like if Laura specifically went out of her way to say, oh, Jester, you know, sat down and drew this. And you can see for like the coloring on this one, I decided to go for a more watercolor painterly route on a lot of the wood and the walls and things like that, which I think rubbed off on me because of me doing like the actual paintings, which I feel like helped make the paintings look more a part of the space, but some of the things like the like Jester, I sort of filled in with solid color. I wonder if for campaign 3, when they'll sort of have these own spaces, I'm really excited to sort of see what is going to happen in campaign 3. I think all of the characters and everybody's super cool. I love the new set. It's absolutely gorgeous. You know, Marisha went above and beyond, and so did everybody that, you know, worked on it. All of the designers and contractors and everything. I think the characters are really, like, you know, well thought out, and I so far have loved the interactions that each of them have had with each other, and I can't wait to see more of those and like how those relationships are going to sort of form and flesh out. I know that, you know, Dorian, Fern, and Orem sort of already have that rapport, that like I have seen. Obviously, you know, like Fresh Cut Grass and Ashton and Imogen and Laudna already have a rapport with each other as well, but like, you know, we haven't seen that as fleshed out as the other 3 that we did with Exandria Unlimited, because we sort of saw, you know, them becoming friends and like an adventuring party, and I'm very excited to see that with everybody else. And I wonder if for them, as well as Bertram, if those characters will sort of be switched out narratively, because that would be sort of a new direction that they would take, besides, you know, switching out a character because of a death, which is the only reason that they've switched out characters before. I wonder if there will just be sort of a narrative reason why a character left, which I think would be a very interesting and new thing to happen, you know? Yeah, and so for here, I'm adding sort of the darkest part of shading. So I had like the lighter shading, and this is like another level of shading that's a bit darker. And so then I just do that a couple of times. I'm not quite sure how I like it. I'm not quite sure how well I like the lighting in general for this one, but you know, I still really like how it turned out. You know, you gotta be forgiving for stuff like that. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm filming this on Halloween, so I hope you have a wonderful Halloween. And goodbye.